It's the Subway NFL postgame show, and the Bears may not be a very good football team, but at least they can say they beat the Green Bay Packers twice this season. 35-7 at home. Special teams a big part of it, and the weather a huge part of it as well. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz alongside NFL.com's Pat Kirwan. Hope you have a very happy holiday season. The second seed in the NFC playoffs thanks to the Cowboys' victory at Carolina on Saturday night and the loss at Chicago. And Pat, let's start right with the special teams play. 2 blocked punts, 1 muffed punt, and a punt that goes 7 yards off the side of the guy's foot. Chicago started basically average at midfield today.
Yeah, we were looking at the field start. So they started their drives on average at the 44-yard line. So Jason's point's well taken. They played on a half a football field. And in the National Football League, when you score a touchdown on special teams, your probability of winning shoots way up into the 75% range. So that helped them a lot. And then he got a big touchdown from the defense, and Brian Urlacher working on that little slant route, picking it off and go to the house. Anytime your defense and special teams are going to throw points on the board for you, you can survive a guy like Kyle Orton, who's really a guy who's just kind of a caretaker.
He's just a guy. I mean, but he's just a guy that has led this team to the playoffs before. I mean, is he the guy that maybe you bring back next year instead of Rex Grossman?
I think Rex Grossman's going to be a free agent, and you got to think about the money. Here's what I would say to him. Come back and give us a call after you get a few offers. Let's see what your street value is. I would not tag him, and I would never make him an offer until I saw what the market bore for him. He may not want to come back, and I wouldn't be willing to pay him. So I think Orton has to be back in the mix. It's amazing what happens. If you're a Bear fan, you know what happens when Orton plays. It isn't glamorous looking. It's not very good looking, as Jason and I will agree with you. But somehow that defense plays with attitude. The running game's alive. They look like the Bears are supposed to look. And then you throw a little snow out of the clouds, and you're back in the Super Bowl mode.
And -2 degrees with the wind chill as well.
Right.
Let's shift it over to the Packers because they are the team going to the playoffs. Nothing to play for next week at home against the Detroit Lions in the last game of the season because they are the 2 seed no matter what.
They are like the Colts are in the AFC, locked in 2, and really you got to think about why would you play people.
Well, that's the question because they did not play well today, and I understand it was all about the weather. You may have the same weather next week. Why would you play people? But if you don't play people, you're going to have 3 weeks of not playing good football. Is it a reason to play someone at least for a little bit?
A little bit of that I agree with, but I'd be challenged. First off, the guy who's not playing well is Brett Favre. He was 2 of 7 for 9 yards in the first half. He threw 2 interceptions in this game. I go back to Lovie Smith's comment when he got the job in Chicago. My job is to beat the Green Bay Packers. So he's now 5-1 against Brett Favre's football team, and he's gotten Brett to throw 13 interceptions in those games. So it hasn't been good. I would not be worried about trying to sharpen this up with Brett. Now, the bye will mean that they get that week off, too. You might see Brett for a half, get some rhythm in this passing attack, but he looked. And if you track him in the last 3 weeks, if you go back and look at how the guy's playing for the last 3 weeks, it's a little bit like last year. They need to get out of that. So now the question is, do I do that by resting him, just getting away from this thing, or do I try to force the issue and see if I can get it better? What if it's bad again? I think probably a half at most.
Well, I don't know if it's that bad because they always dominate the Lions at home. It's never that bad at home.
You're a Lions fan.
I'm just saying that's usually the trend at Lambeau Field. One other thing, Ryan Grant continues to be a good player on this team. This is nothing that new for this team. They know they can run the football here. Last week we sat here and talked about one game. What does it mean for the Cowboys as far as momentum? What does one game mean for the Packers?
I think the Packers, they got a veteran quarterback and they got a pretty solid defense. They'll shake this loss off. In fact, to me, emotionally, they might be just mad enough that it can infuriate them into being sharp as attack and getting some concentration in practice. I would expect the Packers to land up in Dallas playing the Cowboys for the NFC Championship.
All right, we'll see if that all plays out. Folks, for more on this game or any other in Week 16, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com and watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For NFL.com's Pat Kirwan, I'm Jason Horowitz, wishing you a very happy holiday season and a very happy New Year, which we'll wish you again next week. Folks, it's coming down to the wire at least. You think it is. Take care.